What's up, guys? So my last video was actually before Meowscarada released, and when it came out it was utter ass, at least compared to my tier list. I put it in S plus, not necessarily S plus tier. It's not that bad. I'd say it was around A or B tier. However, for a new Pokemon, apparently this was a failure for Timmy Studios, so they buffed Meowscarada right away, one of the few emergency changes to Pokemon right after release. So huge buffs to it, actually, like a lot of buffs. But to be fair, Meowscarada was a lot weaker than it was in the like they have a beta that you can play Pokemon in. It was actually pretty strong in that, and they nerfed it quite a bit. So this was more returning it to the current state. And I'll go over where I think Meowscarada is now after being nerfed on release, and now it's being buffed a couple days after release. They also fixed the Dodrio bug, which is good. There are a lot of people asking what it was. Basically, the agility bar was just bugged, so you were getting way more speed than you needed to, and obviously when the bar is full, you get like a lot better on your moves, so it was just extremely broken. Dodrio was probably the best Pokemon in the game with this bug, because it was impossible not to bug abuse. So I did not know about this bug, but yeah, Talonflame got bug fixed, Hoopa got bug fixed, Zacian got bug fixed, so that's good, because these Zacian bugs have happened before. Apparently, when they just mess with some lines of code, it will make this bug reappear, which is kind of crazy that happens. Don't know what's going on there, but even after the Zacian bugs were fixed, I'd still say it's the best Pokemon in the game right now. This Pokemon just feels so strong. Mewtwo Y, Mewtwo X, it's debatable whether these are the next best Pokemon, but hey, they're all EX, so I'm just gonna keep them in this category, and they're all really good. I think Mewtwo X may be a little farther down. Mewtwo Y, definitely in the running for second best Pokemon in the game. Now, Umbreon is still my what I think is the best character in the game besides EXs. Nothing has changed. No nerf spots. In fact, the new item makes a ton of defenders way better. So you can see Mamoswine, I've moved up here just from the residual effect of these items. Mime, Wiggly as well, Goodra, Crustle, Snorlax. Snorlax might have moved down a bit, actually. But you see these defenders are rising up a bit. Other major changes from my last tier list, I had Sylveon third to bottom, which a lot of people were unhappy with. And actually, I think I was wrong on that. I think Sylveon is a bit higher. I still think it's F tier, but not quite as bad as these Pokemon. So, Blue Strike's Urshifu is definitely horrendous, so I was pretty good on that. Now, my top 5 Pokemon in the game. So it's going to be Zacian, Mewtwo, Umbreon, Intel, and Hoopa. Yes, Hoopa got nerfed, but it just still feels so strong as a support. I just feel like there's no other supports that kind of come near what Hoopa does for your team still. It's just the utility of it is so broken right now. So Blastoise is a surprising one that moved up though, and that's just because this is a tier list for competitive. So Blastoise is so strong in the flex role right now, right? You can play as defender, you can play as a top laner, so it's just such high prio in draft right now. And you saw it in the Asia League, like the games, like they picked Blastoise almost all the time. And I actually have Slowbro way up here. It's just that like the top Pokemon of the meta are like, they've all been nerfed consistently. They've just been consistently nerfing the top Pokemon in the meta, and they haven't really been buffing anyone to the same level. So there's not really anyone that can kill Slowbro, plus the new item that came out, very good on Slowbro. So all of that combined just, I think, makes Slowbro back on top here, just because there's no Pokemon that can really kill it. Like, obviously Gardevoir, Delphox can still kill Slowbro, but none of like the top meta Pokemon are that good at killing this thing. Dodrio, even after the bug fix, I think just Dodrio's in a great spot. It really counters these top of the meta ADCs like Dragapult, Inteleon, Mewtwo Y. So I think it's in a good spot right now. Buzzwole is another surpriser. I just think Buzzwole is so incredibly strong right now. Everything's just been getting nerfs, and Buzzwole's just been getting slight buffs, and I think it's at the point where it just feels so strong. It's actually Omega broken. So any Buzzwole fans out there, I did release a video on Buzzwole like a couple weeks ago if you want to check that out. But yeah, other important changes. I have Glaceon here in S plus tier. It just feels like Glaceon is so strong as a mage, and Glaceon was really getting hard countered by the poke meta, right? Like a long range poke like Inteleon, Mew, Decidueye, Venusaur. But now Mew got nerfed, and Inteleon is picked a lot less because Snipe Shot is more of a niche now. And I feel like that makes Glaceon shine a lot more. Don't get me wrong, Inteleon's still better than Glaceon, but the game's a lot more playable for Glaceon now. And when the meta doesn't hard counter Glaceon, I actually think Glaceon's in a really strong spot. So crazy that just a small buff, really, it wasn't that big of a buff, boosted Glaceon all the way from like C tier to S plus tier on my tier list. But that's how strong Glaceon feels. It really feels like Icy Spear in particular really feels like it's on top right now. Now Tree didn't get any changes, and the new item really good on it. Mew I have all the way down here. It's just I underestimate how big the Mew nurse is. It really does feel like Mew is just a solid character overall, always will be, but it doesn't have that impact. So while it's still a good pick, it's not an S plus tier good pick, if that makes sense. It's still solid, you're still going to see a lot of Mews, but the impact it's having on games overall just feels a lot less, like way less. Clefable, I believe, is the second best support behind Hoopa, and you see the gap here in supports. That's how big of a gap I think supports matter, because Hoopa just feels unplayable in the early game. It really feels so strong. One of the only supports with the stun early game. Literally, actually, I don't think any other actual supports have a stun. Yes, Wiggly and Mime have stuns, but they're more defenders in competitive play, not supports. So being the only support with a stun just pre like level 6 is just insanely broken, and something all the other supports lack. I have Blissey boosted up here. All three supports are near each other, and the reason for that is because I just think that it's kind of like it depends on the comp, and they're all like similar, like they're all like the next best after like Hoopa, Clef, but they all fulfill similar things. So you're just gonna pick them based on what you need in your comp, and that's why they're all kind of grouped together here. Like that's basically where their impact is in the games. And you can see I actually have Leafeon pretty high up here, and Leafeon just feels a lot better with the new item on Leafeon. Feels pretty good. It's just really good at killing Dragapult and Inteleon, these annoying threats at the top. So it's overall pretty good. Meowscarada. So I predicted Meowscarada to be like up here in S plus tier. Obviously on release, I'd say it was like B tier, honestly. Now after the buffs, I think it's S tier. It's solid. It definitely has a niche. You can't pick it like every game, but it fulfills its job as a speedster kind of well, and it's really fun to play. So definitely not bad. The other big change here was Espeon. So Espeon, I just feel like in this meta, again, Espeon is like Glaceon where it gets countered by Poke. But when Poke isn't as important, Espeon really does shine because it's really good early game, especially with the Intel nerf early. Espeon's now, again, probably the best laner early game. So that's really good for Espeon. Now on to A tier. We actually have Mimikyu and Blaziken all the way down to A tier. So I think the nerfs actually really hurt them. They were like, these kinds of Pokemon are like, their movesets are not built for competitive. Like just their builds, how they work, they really have to feel really strong to be played in competitive, and they just don't fulfill that role right now. So like I feel like the nerfs made it so you don't really want to pick them. There's always a better pick that will actually do something for your comp, and that's the issue with these two Pokemon. Now they're really good in solo queue still, but I just see them falling off the ladder in usefulness in competitive. Now they'll still win comp games just because of their base stats are still pretty good, but yeah, I just don't see it happening. Candle moved up quite a bit here. I just think the flamethrower build very underrated. We played against it in scrims yesterday. We were scrimming like Team YouTube, and it actually did so much damage. And especially like I didn't realize, but when you use flamethrower, sometimes it can be invisible, kind of like Venusaur Solar Beam. So that was definitely a surprise, and it feels pretty strong sometimes. Same as Crustle. I mean, Crustle just struggled from not having a good third item. I tried every item I could on this scene, and I was not happy with the builds. But now with the new build, the new the new item is just so good on Crustle. It's so good on these Pokemon that didn't have a great third item. Same for Wiggly. These Pokemon just didn't have a great third item, and now they do. And I think it's really boosted Crustle for me. Like, I think Crustle's a lot better now. Obviously, I still think tanks like Snorlax, Trevenant are better, but I'm a Crustle fan. No, Pikachu didn't get much changes. It's solid, don't get me wrong, it's A tier, but not changes. The new items don't really apply to it at all. Gudra is kind of in a weird spot where the new item didn't really help it. I tested some Gudra with the new item and it just wasn't good. So because of that, Gudra's not getting much love in this meta. It's still solid, but still not a great pick compared to just like Blastoise is a better tank. Lapras is still probably a better tank. Decidueye has its niche still as the best sniper now, or second best sniper because Intel is probably better, but Decidueye fills its niche really well. However, in competitive, it's always going to get countered. So unless it's super strong, you're never going to see it way up here. But the fact Decidueye is in A tier means it's in a pretty good spot. Super fun in solo queue and a great solo queue mon. Lucario, this one might be a bit more of an odd choice. Maybe I have Lucario up here because the Overlord's on my team and I'm biased, but I just think Lucario with Part Punch, not in a bad spot. It does well into a lot of the meta. It's just solid overall. Still is one of the best early games for Pokemon in the games for top lane. So not bad by any means, but you could definitely make an argument for like Dragonite being higher. Asia loves Dragonite, like they absolutely love it. Mime I have up here. I'm a Mime lover, so I will be on the copium of Mime being this high up for as long as I can. I think the new buffs were good. The new item decent. Will you ever see these Pokemon played in competitive? In NA, probably not. But Asia loves to run Dragonite, Mammo, Wiggly, and I actually had my friend who made it to like top 6, top 7 in Worlds. And they gave me their list, and he's from APAC, and APAC got second in Worlds. So we're gonna be able to look at their meta and what they think differently. So that's gonna be super exciting. But wrapping up the tier list, I did overrate the Serena and Greninja buffs. They're not very good. In competitive, in solo queue could be a different story, but this is where I think they're rated now. Red Bear I could have a little low. It could be a little higher. It's not that bad in this current meta, but overall that's my tier list. And now let's move on to the APAC tier list. So sorry for the blurriness. I can't control this. This is just how Ice sent it to me. But Ice is the S+ tier defender on a Rainatane. They had a pretty good Worlds run. They made it out of groups, so they made it to top 8. They lost to us. We were like their first match. I think they made it a little farther on in the bracket, but very good player. He won his like Asia Cup qualifiers in his region. He's on like one of the best teams. Will probably win. I'd say he's a favorite to win the Asia Cup, which is happening soon. So he sent over his tier list, and you can see as a defender main, he's pretty biased. So he actually has Mewtwo X above Mewtwo Y, which is different from me. So that's a bit interesting, but he's biased to the defenders. So he actually has Slowbro up here, Umbreon, but then he has Intel Hoopa. So these top 5 are looking like the same. These top like 5, 6 is pretty much the same, but then he has Clef all the way up here. So Asia has always loved Clef. NA and EU don't really run Clef as much, but they have Zoroark above Dodrio, which I think Zoroark's more of a counter pick now. So definitely interesting. I think Dodrio is something you can run like every game, and it'll be decent. Now, Blastoise they have very highly rated too, so it seems pretty similar. And they actually have Leafeon all the way up here, so I think Leafeon is really strong. But I had Leafeon like right at the top of S tier in my list, so it wasn't that much different. He still has Dragapult in S+ tier, so Dragapult definitely seeing the love with those buffs. It's nice to see this thing on top, and it's not like extremely broken. I hope we'll continue to see it like near the top. Definitely deserves the love because it was really bad since its release. So he has Lapras here, which I have Lapras way farther down, I believe, or maybe I had it in S+ tier. Let me double check. So I had Lapras. Oh, I actually had Lapras in S+ tier. So pretty similar rankings. Buzzwole he has way farther down than me. I don't blame him because a lot of Asia regions just don't run Buzzwole at all, which is surprising. Like they run Blastoise every game and the enemy team doesn't pick Buzzwole, which is interesting because Buzzwole is a pretty great Blastoise counter. But yeah, he has Mew here. A9 pretty far up, above Glaceon, above Venusaur, so pretty interesting. He has Mimikyu up here. I have Mimikyu rated way lower. Blissey, Comfy, same. He has Eldegoss all the way down though, so I'm not the only Eldegoss hater. I believe a lot of Asia teams don't believe in Eldegoss's supremacy too. I know there's a lot of LD lovers that watch this channel, but he actually has Espeon in like the exact same place as me, which is interesting. So, and Asia loves Espeon, so glad we agree on that. These Pokemon all rated pretty similar, except Cram is really far up. I think I had Cram much lower. Red Bear obviously I had way lower, so he thinks Red Bear is good. Crustle is way farther down. Blaziken is rated a little lower than me, but Asia tends to hate Blaziken. They don't really run it. He has Meowscarada all the way in B tier, which is wild to me. I don't think it's that bad, but time will tell. Definitely, I think Asia is much more focused on mechanics. So the first week of the Pokemon coming out, no one's really mastered mechanics. It's hard for them to really tell how good it is. Now, this is interesting. So he actually told me in DMs, he's like, if he were to make a Japan tier list for me, because he knows the Japan meta pretty well, Dragonite would be rated way farther up. Dragonite would be like S+ tier, S tier. And Mamoswine and Espeon would be rated way higher up. So definitely very interesting that Japan is kind of in that meta state. We might be behind. Maybe Japan's ahead of us in the meta. I do think Dragonite's stats feel really strong, so I'm not that surprised that Dragonite's played so much. Right now, there's not that great of jungle picks, just because everything in jungle got nerfed. You can go Dragonite, but you can also go like Dragapult, Glaceon, Inteleon if you just want to play something else bot, Dodrio, Zoroark. But if you don't want to play those, and Mewtwo and Zacian are usually banned, then what do you play? It's usually like Dragonite has a great early game, so it's actually a better option than something like Urshifu or like something different like Delphox. So definitely interesting. They might be ahead of the meta there because Dragonite is really annoying. Obviously, people who played in Dragonite meta, it's been a while, so maybe there's some people who didn't suffer through it. Dragonite was like the strongest Pokemon for like a year, and you just flip objectives on spawn because that's one of the best secures in the game. Definitely not that fun. So I'm glad NA is not in that meta right now. He has Greninja pretty high up though, so that's interesting. I had Greninja in C tier. I guess it's not that much of a difference, but B tier for Greninja. He has Charizard and Garchomp all the way down here, so definitely very interesting. He has Greedent Machamp actually in C tier. So he has Sylveon similarly rated. He thinks Azumarill is the worst Pokemon in the game, so that's definitely wild to me. I definitely think Azumarill is not that bad. Like, especially in solo queue, I've dominated games on Azumarill, so really interesting there. But we have Blue Urshifu in the exact same place, so that's definitely fun. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It was fun comparing our regions and like what we think. I'll just give you guys kind of a look at these tier lists without my face cam, just so you can screenshot. So here's my tier list, and here's Ice's tier list. All right, hope you guys have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one.